Hey guys and gals, it's Unsung with GameLeap again, and in today's video we're going to be going over some important tips for mid lane. What? Unsung, the challenger top laner, is also going over tips for mid lane? That's right, I'm a man of many champions and many roles, and here are some of the more common things that I think that should be known for everyone that wants to learn the mid lane or hone their mid lane. These tips are going to help everyone at all elos. If you watched my last video, I talked about people forgetting fundamentals, even in the highest levels of play, so we're going to be going over a couple of fundamentals and explaining them in depth, so stay tuned. Tip number 1, be aware. This is hands down the most important tip for any aspiring faker out there, and this applies so much more to mid lane than to any other role. You have to constantly be watching your surroundings and taking things into account. Since you are in the middle of the map, it is your job to dominate and help your teammates out. It's 3 minutes into the game. Is your jungler fighting for a crab in the river? Is your wave pushed to help them if they get into a fight? If the answer is yes, then you are doing the right thing. The most important thing to remember in mid lane is that you are the center of your team. You have to outsmart your teammates a little bit and look into the future to see what is going to happen before it actually does. Remember that mid lane is for high IQ galaxy brain players just like you, so you gotta own it. Even if you're playing a scaling or weak early game champion, please tell your teammates, primarily your jungler, what you're going to be able to do for them in the early game based on your matchup or your position in the lane. If you're unable to help a crab, ping them off or tell them to go to the other one. If they choose not to listen, remember what your job is. If it looks winnable, go for it and make it happen. If it's not winnable, let them die for their sins and carry them with your galaxy brain. You need to constantly watch your map and look to respond to everything in your reach without losing too much CS. Bot lane fighting on your team side of the river while you have TP, go cash in on that free double or triple kill and dominate that map. Get those drakes, lend a helping hand to those around you, because remember, helping them also helps you. Preventing your bot lane from inting a double and instead scooping up a nice double for yourself not only helps them survive with their puny bot lane brains, but it gives you a nice little paycheck to carry them with your giga brain. Now if you are serious about wanting to climb, and if you'd like to learn more from me, Unsung, and our other wonderful content creators, go check out the GameLeap website right now. I am currently making 5 to 10 videos a week, and I'm not the only one. There are super in-depth and intricate guides and people sharing knowledge every single day. Go click that beautiful link in the description box below and sign up with a 25% discount courtesy of us. GameLeap is here for you. Tip number 2, warding is everything. Because you are in the center of the map, you are the center of everyone's attention. A jungler or a roaming support is always going to be looking for you. There are so many gank paths available for someone that wants you dead more than any other role. Here are a few examples of all the places that you can be ganked from on the map. Now if you don't want to die to that Zed-Vi combo every single time when they have their ults up, make sure you buy Hazanya's, but before that, buy a ward. At the start of each and every game around 140 or so, you could watch everybody in the game walk to their lanes. If the enemy bottom lane is late to lane and missing a bit of mana, what does that mean? It usually means that they're leashing their jungler, unless they're smart enough to fake leash. That means that the jungler is going to be on that side of the map for the next 30 seconds or so. What do we do with this information? You can sneak a ward onto the raptors just before your minions meet in the middle of the lane if you are brave. Keep in mind that there is a risk to this, and that you have to watch this ward to get information. Now, if you do not do the raptor ward in the beginning of the game, you want to ward the opposite side of what they started. At about 2 minutes and 30 seconds, if it's a strong, fast-clearing jungler, you want to drop a ward in your bush, or you wait until about 250 if it's a slow one. You want to play the side of the lane that your ward is on and try to stay away from the side that you don't have vision of. There is a full fantastic video on warding on the YouTube channel, so check that out if you want to learn a bit more about the importance of vision. Now, next time you play mid, what are you going to do in the first 5 minutes? Are you going to autopilot and spoon feed X Shaco Demon 42? Or stop his gank before it even happens by having that ward down? This is why your brain is massive, and this is why you're playing the center of the map. You are so smart. Here are the most important spots to have wards at for the mid laner. Now that we've gone over where to ward and when to ward in the early game, let's talk about buying wards. When do you want to buy a control ward? This is kind of tricky, but every single time you go back to base. If you don't have enough money every single time, it's okay to skip it once in a while, and don't buy a ward over a power spike, or sustain if you really need it, but try and buy a ward every time. And now what have we learned here? Warding is everything. Next up, we have tip number 3. Itemize accordingly. This was touched on a little bit in tip number 2, but we're taking this to the next level and going a bit deeper. What do you do if you're against LL Stylish on his famous Zed or Unsung on his patented lethality set? Shut them down before they can even start. It is okay to go cloth armor against strong early game AD champions, or even MR on your first back against something like Syndra or Viger. If you are unable to get a huge lead, prevent someone else from getting a huge lead on you by stopping the steamroller before it starts. Are you against long range stuns or massive burst damage? You can buy Merc Treads on Talon, on Kassadin, on Syndra, or whatever you choose to play. Damage is not everything, and it is better to deal some damage guaranteed and not die than doing no damage at all and dying instantly. Banshee's Veil makes a Vi not able to ult you, it makes that Eve not able to one-shot you, or lets you walk through that Viger cage unscathed. Take a good long look at the enemy team and realize since you are a super big brain mid laner, people will focus you. You are the center of attention. They want your autograph. So what do you do against high damage or high CC? Itemize accordingly. You are not insecure for buying a cloth armor, you are intelligent. You are not insecure for buying a Banshees, you are a genius. All that matters in the end is who wins and who loses. And last I checked,
I ain't never lost. You know that, right?
Now that we've gone over this, what do you buy against Zed as an AP champ? What do you finish against him as your first item? Zanya's. If you answered correctly, I'd like to sign you on my semi-pro, non-existent Yordle only team. If you didn't, I'm sure you'll get it next time. Another little quiz. What do you buy against an Evelynn, Syndra, Leona, and Vlad as an AP champion? Banshee's Veil, Luden's Abyssal Mask, or Merc Treads? Depending on what you're playing, it might be all of the above. This is kind of a trick quiz, and all I'm doing is setting you on the right mindset. Remember once again, itemize accordingly. And now, my lovely big brain mid laner, we have tip number 4. Play to your and your champion's strengths. If you are playing an AD assassin, do not play like an artillery mage. Remember this. It is okay to take a risk and for something to not work out. Failure isn't a failure. It is a chance for you to learn. You cannot play an assassin like a mage and vice versa. You have a role in your team and you need to be flexible. More times than I can count, a late game teamfight is happening and the enemy mid makes a huge misplay in their positioning and solo loses their team a game. You do not want to be this person. Who do you stand behind as a mage? Frontliners. Who do you stand behind as an assassin? Their ADC. Depending on your champion, you need to look for a flank or look for a safe space. This is one of the many things that makes mid lane so intricate and addicting to play. There is a massive cast of champions that you can take to the mid lane and even more playstyles for individual champs. At the start of every single game, I want you to analyze your team comp, analyze their team comp, and then start brainstorming. What are you going to be able to do? Who are you going to struggle against? Who do you need to look for in team fights? Do you need to flank, split push, or have someone set you up? These are all questions that you need to ask yourself over and over again as the game goes on. These are all things that you need to remember from game to game. And now what have we learned? Your champion is strong, but you are stronger. Play to those strengths and flex on people! And now, last but not least, we have tip number 5. Do not get overwhelmed. A lot of newer and even seasoned mid laners often find themselves getting overwhelmed, overworked, or underappreciated. This is a team game. Not everything is going to work out the way that you envision or the way that you want it to every single time. What do you do when your jungler feeds your mid laner? Do you lose your huge mind in a pit of despair? Do you burn yourself out to the point of exhaustion? No. Find a balance. You don't always have to keep track of everything yourself, nor do you have to do everything yourself. If you want to let someone else step up for a period of time, you can do that. It is okay to take a breath, recenter yourself. There is a huge flow of information coming through your lane at all stages of the game. It's okay, it'll be alright, I promise. Take it slow occasionally and don't always try to be the super carry if you don't have to be. Pace yourself accordingly and try your best for as long as you can. I have so many friends or students that burn themselves out on mid lane just because they play the role. There is a quote from a famous English poet, John Donne, and this applies to everything, not just League of Legends. No man is an island entire of itself. Every man is a piece of the continent, a part of the main. And what does this mean? How is this relevant? You are not alone. You have a team, and you are part of a team. Someone will pick up what you are unable to, so please be patient and allow yourself a break if you need it. Once again, this was Unsung with GameLeap, and if you learned a thing or two from this guide, then our premium content over on GameLeap.com will blow you away and have you climbing rank after rank. We have a full course dedicated to the mid lane. There are other challenger coaches that do guides on the mid lane just like myself, so waste no time and hit that link on the screen right now to get started. Thank you all for watching, and I hope that you all have wonderful days. Now get out there and be that driving force, carry your team to victory, be that tsunami, be better.